Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today's layout that I'm sharing was created for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team, and I am working with the gorgeous Sunkissed collection. Now, before I go any further, I must apologise for my croaky voice. I was at a concert yesterday and I really should have recorded this voiceover before I went to said concert because I have lost a little bit of my voice. So, moving on. This layout was a mixed media layout that as I said, created for Cocoa Vanilla Studio. And I was actually scrapping some photos of my boys swimming in the pool. So I'm working with blues and greens from the collection today. I decided to focus on those two tones because I thought they would go well with the swimming theme of this layout. So I started with a sheet of 12 by 12 white cardstock, which I actually cut down to measure 11 by 11. And then I used my Distress Oxides just to add sort of a watery sort of vibe to the background there. And I used one of my favourite quick and easy techniques, which is simply using my non-stick mat. And I just swipe the ink pads onto my non-stick mat, add a few spritzes of water, just mix it around with my fingertip. And then I just lay the cardstock down over the top just to pick up the colour and soak it up. Now, there's no gesso or anything on this cardstock. It's just straight, plain 300 GSM white cardstock, and it just sucks up the colour beautifully. So I did it first with the new Salvage Patina colour, and then I laid some Twisted Citron over the top of that just to add a little bit of that greenish touch in there. I then went in with this little Scattered Hearts stencil and another one of my Distress Oxides, that's Faded Jeans there, which is one of my favourites, and just a little sponge, and I just sponged on some heart stencil detail onto my background just to give it that extra little something. So the actual design of this page was kind of dictated by my background, which is one of the things that I like to do. I don't know how I'm going to set things out when I start these pages. When I use this technique, I allow my design sort of to be worked around the mixed media that I've got on the page. So as you can see that sort of pattern that I ended up there. I had the 3 photos that I was working with. So I had a main sort of 6x4, and then I had those 2 other small square photos that I was working with. And I'm just fiddling around with placement here, trying to work out the best way to arrange these photos, but not cover up too much of that mixed media work that I'd already done. I mean, when you do mixed media, it's kind of inevitable that you will end up covering up so much of it. But let's face it, part of the fun is the process, right? So once I had figured out how I was going to lay out these photos, I then went in and created some pattern paper layers in the center of my page where I knew that the main photo was going to sit. So that blue sort of animal print that I'm working with there, that paper is actually from the A5 paper stack, and it's actually a pattern that is unique to that paper stack. You won't find that blue animal print in any of the 12 by 12 papers. And then I was also using some other scraps of paper that I had from some 12 by 12 papers. You can see that I've got that teal sort of chevron print there. I also matted my photo with that cloud print paper from the A5 paper stack. So that's just got that sort of smaller scale cloud print than you will find in the 12 by 12 papers. And I was just looking at building up these layers behind my main photo. So I had several different pieces of pattern paper, and I added texture then by sort of tearing the edges of them and ripping them a little bit and bending the edges up, because I do like the way that sort of torn paper adds texture to a page. You can see I've got the Good Vibrations paper there, which is that striped paper, and I really just wanted to cut a small piece of this to run horizontally across the page and give me that strong horizontal line. I do like to often have a strong horizontal line like this, and I try to sort of place it about where your main point of interest is, and obviously that is my boys' faces in this photo. So I try and sort of run that behind their eye line where the photo is going to sit. So I am still here building up all these layers. You can see that I'm using my T-square there to keep my papers nice and straight on the page. There is nothing that ticks me off more on my own pages than not having those anchor pieces straight on the page. Now I also added some extra interest and texture to my stack here, you can see that I've added a blue paper doily from my stash, and I'm now going in with some frayed gauze, which I added over the top. It just gives it that nice soft texture, and I just love the way it adds extra interest to the page. So I am just using my long arm stapler there, stapling down the stack onto the page so that it won't wriggle around on me. And I'm back fluffing around with these small square photos. I wanted the placement just right. Now, when I had them sitting there like that, I thought they were getting a little bit lost on the page and they needed a little bit of a layer behind them. So you will see that I go in, after I've stuck this photo down, you'll see that I go in with one of the cards from the pocket card pack. And it's actually just a card that's got a blue frame on it. And what I did was I just cut it in half, and I tucked half in behind that top square photo and half in behind that bottom square photo. And you'll see how that darker blue frame just helps lift them off the page a bit and bring them up to the eye and separate them from the background. So there's the pocket card kit pack there. And you'll see that blue frame that I've got. Now, once I had all my papery layers in place on this page, I went in with the embellishments from this range. Now, I love how many embellishments were included in this collection, because not only do you have a die-cut ephemera pack, there's also the separate floral ephemera pack. There are glitter gold foam titles. There's puffy stickers, there's regular accessory stickers. Like, there is just so many things to play with in this collection, and I just love it. So I was actually planning on using those glitter foam titles as the title for this page, and I was so thankful that I actually did leave enough room to the right of my main photo there to fit the title in, because I didn't check that before I went and stuck anything down. So thankfully it did fit perfectly where I intended it to. I love it when things work out like that, don't you? Do you actually check that your title's going to fit before you stick everything down, or do you make your title fit the space that you have left? Very curious to know, because generally title's not really the main thing I think about when I'm setting out a layout. I usually just make my titles work wherever. So yeah, you can see those. I love those glitter titles. The other reason I love those glitter titles is because they don't shed glitter all over my desk, which I really appreciate. So I actually pulled out 2 of those little glittery hearts as well, which come in the same pack, and I just stuck one onto each of those individual photos of my boys. You can see that another thing that I've done there is I do like embellishing directly onto my photos. And on my main photo there, I've stuck that just chillin' little banner piece along the bottom edge there. And you'll see afterwards that I actually go back and I add a tab up in the right corner too that says "Be Happy." So on the left of my photos, I wanted to create a little bit of a cluster, and I wanted to help sort of frame in that side of the layout and close it off a bit. So I used those 2 die-cut palm trees. I stuck one down flat onto the page and then bent the leaves up from the page. And then with the second one, I actually went in and I popped a little bit of foam tape underneath it just to give it some dimension and help separate it from the one behind it. On the right side of my photos there, I didn't generally go with those sort of 3 strong clusters like I usually do, simply because of the way that this page was structured. I went around and I really just tucked in embellishments in around my photos. So I've tucked in a cute little cloud up above the right corner of that top photo. To the right of my main photo, I ended up adding the sweet little heart sunglasses that you can see there. And I did pop those up onto foam tape too, just to provide an extra bit of sort of layering in my cluster there. Down alongside that bottom photo, I added that little beach towel that says Sunshine State of Mind, and that worked really well, sort of tucking in under those torn paper layers that I already had there. So it was a fairly easy page to structure once I had the mixed media done for this page. That kind of, as I said, dictated how the entire layout was going to be structured. Now, when it came to finishing off this page, it was fairly simple. I went in with those gorgeous little puffy stickers that I absolutely love, and I must not hoard, I must use. So I did go and add quite a few of those around the place on my page, and I just again stuck to the blue and green tones that I was working with just so that everything would tie together really well. To finish off my page, I stamped my date on there. I also used one of my roller stamps from my stash just to stamp out a few little phrases on there. And I splattered some black ink at the end because that just helped to tie in those dark colours that were in the photo, and it also helped to tie in the journaling that I wrote on there in black pen and the stamped date, which was also with black ink. So it's just looking for that sort of way to tie those last elements in together. Now, this was a super fun page to put together. I'm really happy with how it came out. I do love creating boy layouts. If you want to see more boy inspiration from me, just let me know in the comments, or whatever you want to see from me, or any techniques or questions you might have, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I've inspired you to go and get creative too. I'll see you next time. Bye.